A great croissant can change the outlook of your whole day, and so can trying to make one without the right techniques. Today, I'm going to combine some insightful ones from chefs I found on the internet to help you make the croissant of your breakfast dreams.
Okay, starting out, we're going to pre-chill all of our ingredients except our softened butter. This is important because A, our butter will melt if our dough is too hot, and B, it keeps our yeast deactivated while we laminate our dough. After bringing the dough together with our paddle, we're going to switch to the hook. Increase your stand mixer speed to medium for about 6 minutes, and I like to occasionally check the temperature just to make sure things are staying under 72 degrees. Once your dough can almost create a window pane, turn your dough out on your work surface to finish kneading for about 6 minutes. With both hands, push and pull the dough back to you in a repeated motion. The heat of your hands will increase the temperature of your dough, so quick and swift movements are important. Pull off a small piece to complete a window pane test. If it holds together, you've completed your dough. Knead it lightly to get it into a round shape. Then wrap it up and let it rest overnight to develop strength and flavor. Take a look in your fridge and find the best quality butter you can find. High fat content, at least 82% or higher. Usually British, French, or Italian butters do the job. Grab 500 grams of butter, some parchment paper, and measure out a 10 by 7 inch grid. Fold in the sides to create a perfect envelope, using your rolling pin to beat it into an even plank of butter. Who knew? Geometric shapes of butter could be so satisfying. Chill that in the fridge and retrieve your dough after it's rested. We're going to press this out into a 16 by 10 rectangle to give ourselves a head start for our first lamination step tomorrow. Ideally, this dough rests for a minimum of 12 hours. I rested mine for 24, but make your plan that works for you. Croissants are great by themselves, but we're taking this up a notch. Let's get started on our homemade strawberry jam. Destem and slice 450 grams of strawberries. Then macerate them with 250 grams of sugar. Add in citrus peels of your choice and the seeds of 1/2 fresh vanilla pod. Stir together to activate the pectin in your strawberries. This is going to help thicken your jam. An optional step is blitzing dehydrated strawberries for a fun garnish. In a small blender, add 1/2 cup or about a handful of dehydrated strawberries. At the end of the video, we're going to mix this with powdered sugar and make it rain on top of our freshly baked croissants. Next, turn on your stove and cook down your strawberry mixture with 1.5 juiced lemons. Reduce it by 1/3, take it off heat, and add a pinch of salt. Once it cools, it should be bright, aromatic, and stick to your spoon. These croissants aren't just getting jam. Next up is homemade ricotta. For cheese, find the best quality milk and cream you can find. In a pot, add 240 grams of cream, 480 grams of milk, 18 grams of lemon juice, plus 10 grams of salt. Stir, then cover and let sit for 1 hour. Use a cheesecloth and strainer to separate the whey from your ricotta. Squeeze to remove as much liquid as possible, and then let sit in a bowl to drain for at least 1 hour. Then grab your piping bag, because our first creator, Zara Akbari Cupcake, has a genius way to get all the designs you want without even needing a nozzle. Whether it's icing or in our case ricotta, simply adjust the angle of your scissors to a 45-degree angle, but don't cut yet, because we still have croissants to make. The next day, remove your butter block and dough from the fridge to let warm at room temperature. To laminate effectively, your butter should be malleable, supple, and soft, but not melting. Place your butter in the middle third of your dough, trim the edges, and then place your dough on top with the flat edges facing outward. This first step is called locking in your butter. Rotate the seam, dust the top, then evenly begin pressing out your dough until your dough measures 33 by 15 inches in dimension. Remember, be gentle but move fast because that butter is warming up. Then complete a single fold by folding 1/3 to the middle and the other third on top. Hello, are you listening? Okay, wrap up your dough and get it in the freezer to rest for about 10 minutes. Remove it from the fridge, and prepare to roll out your dough to that same dimension. Be sure to dust your dough lightly on both sides, and to assist your butter spreading evenly, we're going to follow a technique I learned years ago from French guy cooking. On his own mission to learn how to make croissants, he learned that by cutting the sides of your dough, it aids even spreading of butter throughout the dough. Repeat on both sides and then begin pressing out the dough, just like before. Too much downward motion in just one area is going to create pockets of butter and uneven layers in your croissant dough. Complete your second single fold, wrap it up, and pop it back in the freezer for another 10 to 15 minutes. Remove from the fridge and repeat the steps to complete your last single fold. There are other laminating fold styles to create layers faster, but I feel like for beginners, this is one of the most approachable ways to learn and get beautiful croissants. While rolling out your dough, you may find it begins warming up too quickly, and I've got a great technique for you. Years ago, I discovered Benny Bakes, and this awesome way to chill your dough right on the counter. Whatever frozen foods you have, whether vegetables or fruits or frozen pizza, and sandwich your dough in between to chill it. Having to repeatedly pop your dough back into the freezer, remove it from the freezer, can get annoying, so I really love this technique. Complete rolling out your dough to that same dimension as earlier, and complete your final fold. Wrap up your dough, place it in the freezer, and celebrate because we have finished laminating. To roll out and shape our croissants, we're going to create a rectangle approximately 12 by 30 inches. Chances are the ends of your dough are not in a perfect line, but that's okay. In bakeries, they trim the edges to create perfect lines. Today, we're going to make two different shapes of croissants. So cut your dough directly in half, then take that half and measure out 2-inch wide strips. Roll up each strip like a cinnamon roll. Why, you may ask? Well, we're going to slice these in half and fill them with that ricotta and strawberry jam. But first, we need to get these into our proofer onto a sheet tray that actually fits and not do what I'm about to do. Let this be a learning lesson. Shit happens. Take a deep breath and at least know we have the other half of the dough left. Proof your croissants in a humid environment for about 3 hours at 82 to 84 degrees. When doubled in size, gently cover with an egg wash. Cover with a bake tray and bake at 375 for 1 minute, dropping the temperature to 350 to finish baking until golden brown. I'm gonna be real with you. After dropping those croissants, I got flustered and forgot to record the folding of those aluminum rounds. Placing a tray on top of your circular molds will help hold your round croissants in their shape as they bake. And you can make these at home by folding strips of aluminum foil into circles. Fill with your strawberry jam, grab your piping bag from yesterday, and pipe your ricotta onto the other side. Sandwich the two halves together and grab your powdered sugar and strawberry powder to sprinkle over top. After a proper shower of sugar, behold, your ricotta and strawberry jam croissant sandwich is complete. The flavor of this thing is pretty ridiculous. Imagine if a Pillsbury toaster strudel grew up and went to French pastry school. It's rich and creamy, bright and acidic and fruity, and light as a feather, while still being crunchy.
Wow.
I know it's a lot of steps, but it is worth it. So give it a try and let me know how you did.
Special shout out to Benny Bakes, French Guy Cooking, and Zara Akbari Cupcake. Without you, this video would not have been possible. Until next time, this is Recipe of Recipes. Take care of yourself.